This video contains minor spoilers, specifically on the names of things. There are no major story spoilers, but viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, welcome back to another special video. I'm DTM as always, and we have another 100-line Last Defense Academy video because they recently had an update that added this new Extreme and Despair difficulty that you can see me setting to that mainly does two main things. One, it causes special attacks and last resorts to cost 2 AP. Previously, they costed 0 AP. And also, allies now, including yourself, take 100 damage from enemy attacks, from any attack. This is mitigated by armor. You do normal damage if you have armor. But yeah, now enemies hits. If the enemy hits you and you don't have any armor, you're basically dead, right? So that definitely changes things. Both that and, of course, the new special and last resort costs. And yeah, I'll be basically doing this battle and giving my initial impressions because I have played some battles with it. To be fair, this file does have everything maxed, so things might be different if, say, you do a fresh run where you don't have as much resources or level ups compared to now where basically I have literally every resource and every attack powered up. So do keep that in mind, but I think this is fair to say that these impressions will be most relevant for endgame sort of stuff. Yeah. So one of the things that I think are most apparent by the new difficulty is that obviously AP management becomes a lot more important, right? Therefore, the importance of your attack range when you're using normal attacks become way more important because as you can see with Tsubasa here, with the attack buff, one attack from Tsubasa was able to clear that line of enemies and also gain 2 AP for a net gain of 1 AP, right? The way to gain AP is not through specials anymore, unless you can line up 3 of them, which is very hard to do. But the way to do it is to use your normal attacks and try to line things up. Again, this makes, and even if you can't line up more than 2, being able to just target 1 while having normal enemies also in your range to be able to clear that is also really strong. So yeah, normal attack ranges and characters that have really good ones like Gaku and Tsubasa are very strong. Well, I personally thought they were very strong before, but now they're extremely strong. And personally, even though AP still costs 2 AP now, I still personally found them very good still. Since they cost AP, you don't generally use those for gaining AP these days. It's more about wave clearing. You see me with Ato there, basically using a special to wave clear that huge group of enemies, which would be really hard to do, especially with that big tanky enemy that had 9 health or something. Specials are just a really good way to deal with that and not have to worry about spending AP to individually take those out, which probably results in the same net AP cost than just using a special. So yeah, personally, I still find specials very, very valuable. And one thing that definitely gained in value is items. Good use of items is kind of mandatory because you don't want to waste AP doing attack buffs or healing fatigue or doing anything besides wave clearing because again, AP becomes so constrained that you want to dedicate all your AP towards wave clearing. So using items to gain those attack buffs, to move with a spring trap, to gain armor with a defensive potion, using fences to prevent enemies from being able to attack you because again, you want to avoid getting attacked by them. It just becomes extremely, extremely important. And so items gain a lot of value, especially since, items do not cost AP to use. So that is just like a free way to do what you need to do. As you see, personally, I still use a lot of specials, especially when I can line things up. Even if I don't line things up, it's really good for wave clearing. So I personally still find Nozomi to be pretty valuable. She definitely got indirectly nerfed due to the nerf of special spamming, but specials are still very important, again, for that wave clearing. Wave clearing becomes so important when like you don't want to be attacked by any enemies. And so being able to heal stun so that after your character does their special, they can retreat with like a spring trap is very, very good.
I'll show you what's up.
And yeah, that is something to point out too with the spring, with me mentioning moving back. You have to be very intentional about unit placements. Like you did sort of do the need to mind unit placements before to like be aggressive in your attack ranges. But now you also have to mind it in like a defensive way of like, okay, these are the enemies that are going to like go up. This is their attack range. You need to be careful to avoid being in their attack range. If you like are unable to clear everything so that, you know, they don't just the enemy just doesn't one-shot you. So you have to be very more intentional about that. You have to keep that in mind a lot as well. So yeah, as you can see, with fully maxed levels and resources, the strategy is still being super, super aggro. I would argue even more so than before because, you know, the best way to deal with enemies doing 100 damage towards you is to kill them before they have the opportunity to attack you, right? Again, this is very similar to Gale Force, but on steroids now. Yeah, obviously, I think for a fresh run, doing that super aggro would be a lot harder to do because you don't have as many resources as, like, you know, I have now with like a bajillion potions and like attacks that have buff damage. So it's relatively easy to deal with big enemies. So I would actually be really interested to see how a fresh run would do, just like from beginning to end. That would take a lot of time, but who knows? Maybe I will think about doing that. I don't know, something I'm thinking about. But yeah, as you can see, again, this is why normal attack range is so important because it's a lot easier to like chain getting all the big enemies while also clearing all the normal enemies. That just makes it super efficient when it comes to like AP management. Yeah, AP management is still the name of the game, even more so. And yeah, we're going to do this for wave clearing because, again, now that I cost 2 AP, those 2 big enemies will give this a net 0, which is what we want. Although, yeah, that just made the wave end, so I guess that's really good. So yeah, now we're on wave 2. And when it comes to like the boss turns, again, when you have these huge groups of enemies, you still want to use specials. Like, let's be real. It would have been really good if we could have gotten like 4 big enemies here, but we'll have to settle with 3. And then with the Nozomi heal stun, that becomes a net of 0 again. And again, this is just super good with wave clearing because me doing like, I guess, impact stabs and everything wouldn't be able to clear that many enemies all at once. So we can just do that right now.
Let's go.
And yeah, this one actually lined up super well.
One last strike.
Yeah, specials are still good for wave clearing, especially when you have the big enemies line up. So Nozomi stun heal, I still get a lot of mileage out of. Again, if I were to do this individually with normal attacks, it would probably cost the same AP. And yeah,
Locked and loaded.
I will mention. Oh, this is a mistake. I thought this would buff Tsubasa, but I forgot it didn't. Shows you how much I normally use that in my normal run. So I have to basically use a potion for her. Although apparently Takumaru is good because he grants armor now to himself. That's nice. Personally, again, I still find the best way to do things is to just kill all the enemies, and Takumaru doesn't really help with that with his range. But I can see, like, in a fresh run, that becoming very valuable.
Okay.
But I don't really have an experience about it so far.
Do my best.
One thing when it comes to items as we're going through these, spring traps, like, they're no longer just for Kako, they're for everyone that needs to move. So you can, like, reposition yourself to be in a better place so you don't get attacked by the enemies. One item that definitely, like, fell super hard in value, in my opinion, are Desperation Potions. Because Last Resorts now cost AP to use, it's not as free to just spam Desperation Potions to build up voltage. You actually have to be a lot more intentional now. Ideally, you want to line it up so that at least 2 big enemies are lined up with your Last Resort to make effective use of your Desperation Potions. I will say, in my normal run, I didn't really use Desperation Potions as I still had the Fire Emblem mentality of not wanting anyone to die. So personally, I wasn't really bothered by the nerf to Desperation Potions and Last Resorts. Like, in most cases, due to how, like, the battle and waves work, you generally just gain voltage naturally, as you see during wave 1, before we get to, like, the boss turns. So, like, I feel like as you're doing the earlier waves, you should focus on gaining voltage so that you don't need to rely on the Desperation Potion Last Resort, which I think is fairly easy to do. Like, again, I did that normally during a normal mode. I don't think I used any Desperation Potions during my normal run. And, like, it was fine. And plus, with enemies doing 100 damage now, if you really need the voltage, like, on the later turns, you could just sacrifice someone. It's a lot easier to do that now. That sounds terrible. But, like, it's true, you know. So, yeah.
Allow me to take them down.
So, yeah, Last Resorts definitely got nerfed quite a bit. Especially when it compares to specials. Because, again, specials, you don't have to worry about you dying. And it's really good for wave clear. I mean, you could probably still use Desperation Potions if you don't have voltage build up. But again, personally, I've never really used them. So it's fine that they're that nerfed. And yeah, because we have a spare AP, we can heal Takumi for next time. This is really good. And yeah, because we're out of AP, I just wanted to make sure everything was safe. We can end turn. And yeah, this is something that is kind of annoying about these battles. Normally, it doesn't matter that, like, new enemies show up. But yeah, now you have to actually mind that. And so that was a mistake on my part, not using spring traps to bring Ima back to safety. You always have to be careful about safety on the edge now and try to, like, move back as much as you can. So that was on me. Yeah, as you see, mistakes are a lot more punishing, as if you do make a mistake like that, it generally costs you at least one of your units. So again, that is partly where the difficulty is. You need to be very, very mindful, and if you make a mistake, then you get punished really heavily. I don't think it's, like, that big of a deal if, like, one of your units like, get wrecked because of a mistake. But at the very least, once you clear the first turn, which is in general where most of the enemies are. As long as you have one on each side, you should be fine, which does manage the difficulty quite a bit. We're going to take advantage of this kind of lull to buff Takumi's attack for next time. Shoma, I think, actually gained value. Previously, I thought Shoma was basically useless. But now with the reflection providing the armor, I think that's actually really good utility for Shoma. Yeah, we just want to move everyone back just in case. Kind of got wrecked.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had to move there.
Here
I
goes.
probably should have used the spring trap instead of just moving,
I'm ready.
but it's not that big of a deal.
Shot. I'm all set.
Yeah, I'm one range short there. But as you can see, we should be fine with those two enemies not being able to reach. And now we just need to deal with these ones.
What's up? Mow 'em down.
I was going to have Gaku, but then I realized I can't move over, so that's a rip. It's fine.
You saw that.
Takumi can finish this. Something I didn't mention, but it's worth saying, is that I think the Hemo Anima skills... Also, whoops, I completely forgot about this side. That was another mistake. Again, if you make a mistake, it becomes a lot more punishing, and most likely you'll lose at least one unit. But yes, I think, I think Last Yell is still useful, but in general, you probably don't want to use Hemo Anima skills as much anymore, with the exception of either attack buff, if you're in like a lull, or to use the Hemo Anima skill to gain AP, because obviously that's still really good. Other types of Hemo Anima skill, like the counterattack and whatnot, I don't think are worth the voltage cost, because you want to save the voltage for either specials or for gaining AP. Again, the exception is probably Last Yell. You can like still stack that up to chain Last Yells to gain the runaway AP sort of thing. But yeah, I probably don't want to use any other Hemo Anima skills besides those three.
My turn.
So yeah, here we're just finishing this section off. So yeah, this difficulty
I can't wait.
is interesting. I don't think it changes that much when you have everything fully maxed or have enough resources to clear everything turn one. But again, I can see like on a fresh run, this being like really, really big difficulty.
Let's go.
Also here, I missed one of the enemies, which is really unfortunate. Again, I think the biggest beneficiaries of this are units with huge attack ranges. Again, like Gaku, like Tsubasa, and not just like huge attack ranges, but like filled in attack ranges that are like solid and not like spotty, like Ima's X or something. Those I feel like are the most efficient way to clear waves while still having like the range needed to take out the big enemies. Nerfs. Desperation Potions I think is the biggest nerf. Nozomi definitely got indirectly nerfed, but personally I still think Stun Heal is super valuable because you are still going to use specials. At least I still use specials to be really good at wave clearing. And then items like shot up in terms of value. You like pretty much have to use items, I think. And yeah, now we have this wave. This is the story boss, so this wave we do have to do some story things. And Shion is going to drain all of our voltage. Why do you have to do this, Shion? Yeah, we just need to get through this. So yeah, let's just do this. I will say I talked a lot of bad crap, I guess, about desperation potions, but one of the ways that desperation potions still have value is in situations like this, where like Xion drains all your voltage, and you need to gain voltage back for the boss killing turn. So obviously,
Whenever you're ready.
if again, you still need to be mindful where you use it. You still need to like make sure you have at least 2 big enemies lined up with your last resort, so you don't lose any net AP. But that is where I think desperation still have value. Yeah. So yeah, now we're actually in the wave 4, the actual wave where we can kill the boss. And this would be a good time to unload our special attacks, but again, Xion drained all our voltage, so we're going to have to use that desperation potion to like gain voltage. And we don't want to do that on Takumi, obviously. Like we want to save Takumi to be able to kill the boss. So over here, I see 2 big enemies lined up, so that is perfect. Desperation potion situation where we have 0 voltage, need to quickly gain it. And yeah, again, we don't want to like waste any AP moving. So we're going to use a spring trap to go where we need. We're going to have this desperation potion, and then we're going to use a last resort to still have 7 AP at the end of this, but now have at least 100 voltage that we can use. Again, this is slowly but surely building back up our voltage gain. Here, and now I'm just trying to look around to see if there's any similar situations. I see, again, Tsubasa's actually still the GOAT. Like, she was the GOAT before, but now she's the GOAT. She has the range to take that big, and the damage to take out that big enemy with the attack buffs and the attack potion, and also just gain a lot of voltage, which is nice.
To business.
Here, unfortunately, Hiroko doesn't have the movement range, so we have to use an agility potion. Again, this is why like items are more important. You don't want to waste any AP doing any extra moves, so you just use items to make it so you can reach things or have the necessary attack power to kill things and things like that. And so yeah, we have a decent amount of voltage, so we can get started. It would have been really cool to get all 3 in one, but we're just going to have to settle for these 2 flying ones. And again, defense potions, again, items, are very important because, especially against bosses that can counterattack, like this boss here. That armor is the only way to avoid getting the 100 damage. So you need to apply those defense potions before you attack a boss that can retaliate. Either that, or you can try to get out of their range. With the resources fully maxed, I find it just easier to just use defense potion.
All good.
But yeah. So yeah, I'm still using special attacks instead of impact stabs because the damage per AP is still in favor of doing specials. Like even though it costs 3 AP now to do the special plus Nozomi combo. Like my Takumi does like 21 damage fully buffed with the special, whereas the impact stab does 8. And so if I have 2 big enemies lined up, that only costs 1 AP for the special compared to the 1 AP of an impact stab doing 8 damage versus 21 with a special. Yeah, it's clear that the special would do a lot more damage. Even if it's just 1, like in this situation here, that would be a net 2 AP cost, right? You lose 3 from the special plus Nozomi, but you gain 1 from the big enemy. So that's a 2 AP. That's around 10.5 damage per AP using the special. And again, impact stab is 8. So with 2 AP, that would only be 16. So yeah. And that sort of math, I think I find interesting in this new difficulty, like which would net you the most damage per AP. That is something you didn't really have to consider before because specials were free and you could just spam them. Maybe with Nozomi costing 1 AP, but then again, normal attacks normally cost 1 AP. So like obviously you would do the special all the time. But now with specials costing 2 AP, you do need to do that math. And yeah, in that situation, as with my huge Takumi investment, it's kind of obvious. Plus, you have wave clear. Like we cleared those enemies, so we don't have to worry about them from next time. Obviously, when it comes to other characters, you might not be able to justify it unless you invest into them with the Hemo Anima stuff. But I think if you can line up at least 2, it's generally worth it.
I'll put this to good use.
And yeah, for these sort of boss turns in this new difficulty, you definitely need to use defenses. I personally think you should save defenses till this turn, so you have enough so that you can put them here and avoid doing anything on the non-boss sides. So you can just focus on the boss sides. So yeah, this is just another showcase showing how items gained in value. And yeah, on these like boss waves, you really just want to hard focus on whichever side the boss is on, so you can deal the most damage here. The first turn is the most important, in my personal opinion, on these boss turns. That's where you do the most damage.
Here we go.
Where you can do the most damage, and in general, it is possible to just one turn it, so you don't have to deal with anything else on the other side, right? So yeah. There I got kind of scared because the boss started doing 3 damage on retaliation and I only had 2 armor, so I just used another defense potion. Again, defense potions, really good. But yeah, the boss decided to teleport, and yeah, this is gonna hurt. But it's fine, as long as we have one person per side. Ow. It should be fine. And look, these deaths are increasing our voltage, so it's honestly kind of a win. Yeah, it's fine as long as at least one person is still there on each side, or at least on the boss side. Yeah. And yeah, our electric fences are doing work. And yeah, we did so much damage on the first turn. I think we did like 74 damage, which is kind of insane. But yeah, again, first turn is definitely the most important, as that is where you use the most damage. That way, if the boss like teleports to a different side, like what just happened here, on the second turn, you can just basically just clean up with any unit you want. So yeah, I'm going to use Moko here to basically attack the boss. And with the attack potion, Moku now does 5 damage, so it just takes 5 attacks. And we definitely have the AP to do that, so yeah. Turns out this defense potion wasn't necessary because we're outside of the boss's range for retaliation. But I guess we can just flex. But yeah, that's I guess the initial impressions I have on this new Extreme and Despair difficulty. It's definitely a lot more challenging than the previous normal difficulty, which was the highest. I still find it to be fairly straightforward, but again, that is with every resource maxed. So things are probably different when you are just starting out on a fresh run, and I would be interested to see how that goes. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed these initial impressions on Extreme and Despair. I need to play with this more, but it is a lot of fun. And yeah, see you all next time. Bye everyone.